I was driving home past a gas station where a 24-hour car wash sat in its own bay, a metal and polycarbonate rectangle, the red open 24/7 sign chasing itself in neon loops. It was close to 1 a.m. The road still glistened from rain, my car was splattered up to the handles, and I figured I'd stop. 7 hours until my meeting, and I didn't want to show up with brick-colored grime baked onto the glass. The lot was empty. In the cashier's booth, the only thing visible was the bluish glow of a TV, someone nodding off on a stool. I pulled up to the terminal and slid in my card. The keypad was sticky, the display beaded with water. Code 4963. Mode, full cycle. Turn on headlights? No. Next to it a diagram of a car in neutral, arrows pointing to, hands off, do not brake. I smirked, remembering how, as a kid, I'd been afraid of the big spinning brushes, convinced they'd rip off the mirrors. The gate lifted and I rolled onto the guide rails. The pusher nudged the wheel, and the car began to glide forward like on a slow escalator. Rubber curtains closed behind me. Strips of black vinyl hung from the ceiling, cold neon pulsed above. Somewhere deep inside, pumps primed, a valve cracked, a sensor beeped. Then everything hit at once. White noise of water, foam hiss, the drumming of spray on metal. I cut the engine and settled in. In the daytime I'd be scrolling my phone by now. The first cycle went as usual. Pre-soak, foam, soft brushes, main wash, rinse, wax, dry. Air pulled through the seams, dryers roared overhead, water jets whistled against the wheels, cutting black ribbons of dirt into the floor drains. Foam crawled down the glass, the arcs of the wipers showing through, mesmerizing, like cloud shapes on a windshield. Then a photo sensor clicked, and it all started again. I figured I'd misjudged the stop point, maybe tripped a sensor, paid for an automatic second run. I shrugged. Guess it'll be cleaner. But when the foam laid down again, something moved in the far right strip of my peripheral vision, the side with the pasisa titanti. Hisanachao. Fi tikran mayo. Jiu tiu. He's a tier. Where the glass always feels colder. Through the soapy veil, between the flapping curtains and the arc of the high-pressure ramp, someone pressed a hand to the window and knocked. 3 times, not hard. The way you knock when you don't want to scare someone, but you do want them to notice. Everything in me tensed, then my brain tried to walk it back. Noise from the wash, illusions, light play. I cracked the vent, then shut it again fast. The smell of chemicals hit my throat. Dryers kicked in, clearing the glass. No one there. Water streaked down the pillar. A bead slid out from under the mirror and crept inward. I laughed at myself, even pulled out my phone to film it. Show the guys tomorrow. Look, the night shift's haunted. That's when the third cycle started. Now it was weird. I flicked on the dome light, easier if it's not pitch dark inside. Foam covered the windows thicker this time. Above, a strange hush, just the muffled rustle of spray. Then, 3 knocks, clearer. I leaned forward, palm to the glass. This time it wasn't a handprint, it was writing. 2 quick diagonal strokes, fat and clean against the soap. The word was awkward, like from a left-hander. Off. Cold sledded down my spine. I glanced right. On the wall, beneath the emergency stop toggle, was a red mushroom button under a plastic guard. I could maybe reach it, if I opened the door and leaned out. But there was water, high-pressure spray, moving machinery. And the big sign said, "Do not exit vehicle," and someone outside wanted me to. The glass gave a soft click, a tap right where my cheek was. I hit the hazards. Inside, the red light blinked. Outside, nothing but the white roar. If this was a prank, how did they get in there? The only entry was through the main gate, which was shut in front of me. Behind me, rubber curtains and the conveyor rail. Any joker would be drowned in foam by now. It wasn't fear so much as wrongness. This was supposed to be just machinery and water. Instead, There were human fingers. Leaning back, I realized I believed this. If I hit off, something alive would lurch out of the water. If I didn't, it would just keep knocking, again and again, until the foam choked the air vents and I couldn't hear anything except the bass of the dryers. I thumbed the door lock. Reflex, stupid, but it was something. I cranked the passenger window down an inch. Water slapped in, icy, sliding under my cuff. I cursed and cranked it shut. Screw it. Forget the instructions. The door. The pusher hummed under me, carrying the car forward. I waited for the brushes to swing clear, then yanked the handle, shoving with my shoulder. Water hit my arm, slapped my ear. The outside noise was sharper, closer, like turpentine fizzing in my head, and then, from the foam, a hand wrapped my wrist. Not gripping, more like draping over. Heavy, wet, knotted like a soaked bedsheet. Cold enough to hurt. I jerked back hard enough to wrench my shoulder. The door slammed against the pillar. The glass rattled. Across my knuckles were bare, dry streaks, as if someone on the other side was clean and I'd touched them through cellophane. I'm not proud of it. I quit. Kicked the door shut, hard enough to make the fastened seatbelt light flicker its old yellow. Shifted into gear, floored it. Nothing. The conveyor still had me, the rail still pushing like a shopping cart. More knocks, now on the driver's side. Off, written again in that same clean patch. I shook my head like a dog out of a river. My collar was soaked and freezing. The rear glass fogged instantly, ribs of condensation sliding in unnervingly parallel lines. I glanced at the rear view, half expecting someone to be sitting there. No one. Just the back wall of the bay and the reversed glow of no entry beyond this point. The dryers started up, ready to blow me out. I puffed my cheeks, braced, and hit the stop button. Bare hand, dumb, door, not fully shut. Body, stretched on the belt. Foot, sliding on the mat. I did it anyway. Flung my arm into the outer skin of the world, waiting for a shock. No shock. The sound hit instead. Everything, jets, brushes, fans, went dead. Like someone had muted the planet. The red lamp blinked once, twice, and stayed on. In that silence, I could hear the tiny hearts of the pumps and valves. Tick, tick, tick. My temples throbbed. A drop flew in, hit my tongue, tasted like iron. A new light crept along the walls, pale, watery, like bad moonlight on a cheap camera. From the foam pooling on the floor, something took shape. A shoulder. It slowly turned. I pressed back in my seat. I won't say it was a face. More like the idea of one. You only saw it because your brain wanted to. Water, light, and then a human-shaped something inside the water. Dark, like a snow sculpture in shadow. I realized I'd grabbed its hand, and it had grabbed mine. Now, it didn't even feel scary. It felt inevitable, like the word off. I wanted to ask, "Who are you?" But my mouth felt sealed. So I did something dumber. I wrote. Smudged my finger through the last foam beads along the glass. Who? And instantly, across the clean patch, letters bloomed from the inside, like traced on icy glass. Me. At a car wash, alone at night, talking to yourself is the worst thing you can do. Some people are happy to write, me, and believe it's someone else. I didn't try to be clever. Write, erase. The water eats it anyway. I leaned back, shut my eyes. A minute later, the red light slowed its blinking. I thought about the cashier. Maybe he'd walk out, see me, think. Another guy mashing the stop button. Maybe he'd just kill the whole system and let me roll out. Nobody came. The TV still glowed blue. On the system monitor where little green car icons moved along, mine was frozen. In the camera feed window, my bay had a red badge. Malfunction in Bay 1. Restart in 60:59. My heart jolted. Auto restart. In 60 seconds, this place would roar back to life. I turned the key, tried to drive out. The pusher still held me. I leaned on the horn. In that silence, it sounded like a gunshot. And that's when I heard another sound from inside the car, faint tapping. Like someone in the trunk, drumming fingertips or pliers against the metal. I tilted the rear view down. In the darkness, where there should have been nothing, two tiny watery points glinted, like reflections on glass, except they moved, fast, like two eyes with water running down them. I exhaled and did something I hadn't done in 10 years. Dropped it into drive and floored it. Rails be damned. I felt the gear slip, the pusher pop off the tire, the side scrape the guide rail, the sill bite the track, and then the car burst forward, clipping the brush cassette with a crunch. The noise of water and wind collapsed into one raw note. I shot through the half-open bay doors, nearly tearing off the mirror, out into the lot. Headlights carved the asphalt, wind stripped away the steam. Behind me the system caught its restart signal and blasted the bay. Through the wet blur of my rear glass, before the dryers hit, I saw, inside the building mist, a hand pressed to the glass again. I didn't drive straight home. I stopped at the nearest 24-hour store, stood by the battery rack shaking so hard the packs rattled. The clerk, a pimply teenager, asked, "You good, man?" "Yeah," I said, bought gum and a glass wipe. In the car, I wiped the fog off the inside of the rear window, and there it was, the word thanks, traced in a small handprint. A child's, with a scar across the wrist, same as mine, a thin white line from a bike crash in 5th grade. I looked at my own hands on the wheel for a long time. Understanding doesn't come all at once. It comes in layers. There's the layer where you're sure someone's there. The layer where you realize that someone could always have been you. The layer where thanks could have been left by anyone. Condensation and your own wanting. And then there's the layer where you can't tell anymore, and you're left with one rule: don't go back. In the morning at work, I searched the news for anything about the wash. Nothing. I let myself believe the only thing that drowned there was my night's sleep. That evening, pulling out of the lot, I switched off the wipers, and in the moment the blade stopped, 4 long droplet-stretched fingers slid across the clean arc, and a soft 3-time knock on the passenger side. Gentle, the way you knock when you don't want to scare someone, only to remind them they pushed the right button at the right time, and someone stayed behind where the noise finally went quiet. Since then, when it rains, I take the other side of the street past that wash. The gate sign still burns, open 24/7. The red lamp blinks steady as a heartbeat. Sometimes the booth glows blue with the TV, sometimes not. Sometimes I think I see something move inside, behind the water. But you'd have to turn on the lights to know for sure. And I don't turn them on anymore. If you made it all the way to the end, then you're exactly the kind of person I'm looking for. Hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I hope I can keep bringing you more stories, to make you smile, or maybe, to scare you.